Nation. I'm Brad Pomerance in the Coachella Valley. Today we are joined by John Powell. He is the president of the Coachella Valley Water District. And so I want to ask you a question. It's a simple one. Is California still in drought?
Technically, yes. Even though we're experiencing one of the wettest, maybe will be the wettest winter in the history of California, we are still under the governor's declaration of a drought emergency.
What's a little confusing for lay people like myself is that last year we were told we were going to have this El Nino that would cause torrential rains. We were told nothing about this year.
Yeah.
Last year, Northern California did pretty well. They got some good rains. Southern California got zip.
Right.
This year, we didn't hear anything, and all of a sudden it's as wet as ever.
Right. And last year was a big disappointment. El Nino didn't do it, right? This year has been fantastic.
Is it an El Nino? Is it a La Nina?
I'm not sure.
You're
Well,
not sure?
It wasn't either, right? It never
but
materialized.
this year,
no.
it's just
It's this atmospheric river that keeps flowing, and it's been fantastic. I think that the regulators, the State Water Board, doesn't want to jinx it, because we don't know why it's wet or why it's dry. It just happens. And so I think they want the water year, or at least the rainy season, to finish before they call off the drought.
And the reality is, we had 5 miserable years. And even if we have a great year, as I remember, we would need like 3 years worth of great rain to make up for the deficit. And right now we're having 1 year of great rain.
But it's a really, really good year. So it's like 3. I think the biggest...
Is it really that good?
Well, the snowpack is excellent. The reservoirs are full. You know, they're doing flood releases out of a lot of reservoirs. We don't have enough storage in California, surface storage. Some of the underground storage, and I'm not talking about our area, but in the Central Valley is low. So that's where we haven't been able to make it back.
Let's talk about groundwater, which I will admit fascinates me. I'm kind of a nerd. When I heard the term groundwater, I thought, does that mean there's a big lake under the ground? That's not what groundwater is.
Well, it's close. It's sand, but it's a strata. It's sand with space between the sand. And that space is filled up with water. Kind of like a sponge. I mean, you could take a glass of sand and pour water into that glass, and you'll see that water goes in between the little grains of sand. So we have about 30 million acre-feet of water below our feet, just in the first 1,000 feet down. And then we know it goes at least twice that far.
And let's remind our viewers what an acre-foot is.
And I think I said 30,000. I meant 30 million acre-feet.
I hear you, but an acre-foot, isn't that like like 3 feet of a football stadium filled up with water?
It's a football field covered with 1 foot deep of water.
1 foot, okay.
And it's 325,000 acre-feet.
It's a huge...
I'm sorry, 325,000 gallons.
It's a huge amount of water.
It's a lot of water.
How does the Coachella Valley, a desert, have such a rich groundwater basin?
So the water, it's like a big bowl. The water's just been flowing in naturally from snowmelt over millions of years. And actually our annual, and this is really important, the annual recharge that happens naturally here is not very much. But if you take 1 million years of it, it adds up. So what happened was, you know, when the people first came to the valley, put wells in to farm. And to drink water.
Groundwater.
Groundwater. They put in a well so you could farm. This is back around the early part of the late 19th century, early 20th century, around 1900, 1910. They realized something was wrong, and they hit the panic button. You might see people in California hitting the panic button last year. We did it about 100 years ago. And so they said, we cannot sustain these activities with this groundwater because the levels keep dropping, rapidly dropping. So they contracted, we formed the Coachella Valley Water District in 1918, contracted with the federal government to bring imported water. Imported water is a key to the Coachella Valley's future. And it started 100 years ago, and we've been managing this source and protecting these rights and expanding these rights ever since.
And I understand you get imported water from the State Water Project, which is delivering a lot more than it was in the last few years. Is that right?
We're we had 5% a couple years ago of our contract. Imagine having a contract with somebody and they only perform 5% of it.
That's a problem.
That's not good.
Not
good. Last year actually we got 60%. Right now they're set for 60% this year.
Good.
And it's possible that number might go up even to 80%.
And you also receive imported water from the Colorado River.
We do.
And how does that work out?
Right. So we have rights on the Colorado River. It, believe it or not, flows here by gravity.
Oh God,
it's
a miracle. It's all a miracle.
This is the project we signed up for back in the early 20th century. The system was built. It took a while because of World War II, and it was the first water delivery to the Coachella Valley of that Colorado River supply was 1949, and in 2003 we signed a new agreement with a number of parties that quantifies our Colorado River rights. This is called the Quantification Settlement Agreement, and we have an increasing supply of water from that source every year up until 2026.
When that water arrives, either from the Colorado River or the State Water Project, it doesn't go into an above ground reservoir. Where does it go?
Well, a lot of it we use directly.
Okay.
So what we would call in lieu recharge. So instead of putting it into the ground in a percolation basin and letting it percolate in, we'll find someone who's using well water and we'll say, how about we deliver this source to you, surface water, and you shut off your well. Wow. And so we call that in lieu recharge because now you're no longer taking it out of the ground, and it helps those groundwater levels recover.
But otherwise, you recharge it. I mean, it is recharged into the groundwater basin.
We have 3 different places where we're percolating water in. So what we do is we spread it over these large ponds.
It's crazy.
And it just percolates in. And we find areas that does very well. In fact, 100 years ago, we found this area at Whitewater, and we're starting to impound flood flows to let them percolate in before they would flow away. And then eventually we got the state water in the 1970s, and we put that in there.
I want to speak with you about conservation, because during the drought, I feel as if the Coachella Valley got a bad rap, because you'd see on the news these beautiful golf courses that are being watered.
Right.
I learned through my attempted research that was recycled water. It wasn't wasted water, but talk us through conservation in the Coachella Valley.
So we've been managing our water supplies here for a long, long time. And, you know, like I said, we hit the panic button about 100 years ago.
Right. So
we've been at it for a long time. Golf courses right now, about 50% of the golf courses are using something other than groundwater. So that's either recycled water from one of our sewage plants or a combination of that and Colorado River water. So yeah, it's not the potable water that you would use for your home. And the state, you know, I think we did our best to explain to them how that works.
Right.
But we have also seen a tremendous amount of conservation. I want to say from the Coachella Valley Water District, thank you to our customers, because the governor asked the state back in 2014 to reduce their use of water by 25%, and that's exactly what we did. Our customers, since the declaration of the drought emergency, we've reduced our potable water use by 25%.
And was that done through artificial turf? Was it done through new appliances?
Probably the biggest one is turf removal.
Right.
So we've put a lot of money into this. We've also had some grant money to help out. We've removed millions of square feet of turf. Also, conservation programs through our installing better irrigation systems, or especially a smart controller. We will actually, if you ask for one, we will supply free of charge and install it and program it for you, a smart controller, so you don't have to worry about how much water your grass or your irrigation needs.
It is amazing how Californians really did come together. Because we conserved billions of gallons of water when we needed to. And I'm proud, I must admit it. His name is John Powell. He is the president of the Coachella Valley Water District. We're in the Coachella Valley today. My name is Brad Pomerance. It's Local Edition.